want some sauce?
Scene one, Apple, take one.
Chicken enchiladas. Chicken enchiladas. We're going to take some chicken breast. And we're going to throw it inside of a pot here. Now I'm not going to be using a huge pot because it's not really necessary. But what we do want at the end of this is a bunch of water that basically is chicken broth. If you want to use a larger pot, more power to you. But what we're going to do is we're going to be killing two birds with one stone. Kind of funny considering chicken is a bird. We're going to end up putting some bay leaf inside here. We need to put enough salt for both pieces of chicken. So think about it as if that chicken breast was in front of you, how much salt would you put? You know, you'd say, okay, that's enough right there, right? And we have another one, that's enough right there. But we also have a little bit of water, so we just add a little bit more. That's how we know exactly how much we're supposed to be putting. But what we're going to do is we're going to be killing two birds with one stone, like I said before. Actually, I don't even know why people are using stones to kill birds. We got guns, we got knives. It doesn't make a difference. What we want to do is we want to cook the meat, and we also want to make it tender, and that's going to happen by boiling for a long period of time. And as soon as we bring it to a boil, we can lower the temperature of it. Okay, it doesn't have to stay at a rolling boil. It's just as soon as it gets to a boil, you turn down the temperature and you let it simmer, a very light boil. And it's probably going to take about 2 to 3 hours. Okay, now by us doing that, we're cooking the chicken, we're making it tender, but also at the same time as what we're doing is we're taking all of the flavor out of the skin and out of the bones, okay? And there's going to be some that comes from the meat, and it's going to get inside that water. That water we're going to end up using in order to make our enchilada sauce, okay? You can just use straight up regular water or whatever, but the way I see it is why waste? This is what we're talking about. It's not really a rolling boil, it's a simmer. We can see that there's movement, okay? And what we want to do is we want this to basically do this till that chicken becomes tender, it falls off the bone. Do you have to wait that long? No, you don't. So when making the sauce, typically you end up using something like a pod. And you know, they have a bunch of different types of pods, and some of them have different flavors, some have different spicinesses or whatever. But generally, this what you do is you would end up boiling these guys for a while, then you'd make your own sauce out of it. Now, in this particular case, when I went to the store, they didn't have any available. This one is a little bit older, and it's still fine, but one of them is not going to be enough for what I'm making. So instead, what we're going to be doing is just using California chili that's been ground up. Now, for the amount that we're making, that will probably be enough. But something else that we need to add to this is going to end up being paprika. And for the amount that we're making, that's enough. Black pepper, about a teaspoon. This is kosher salt. This is about a teaspoon. If you're going to be using regular table salt, use about a half of a teaspoon. Now we are going to be using real onions, but I'm going to be putting about half a teaspoon, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon, third of a teaspoon, somewhere in that area of onion powder. This is garlic powder, about a quarter of a teaspoon. Now, not everybody does this with their enchilada sauce. I mean, I've already added a few things that some people wouldn't add. But this is oregano, okay? And I am a big believer in putting oregano in your seasoning when it comes to things like enchiladas or burrito or taco. This is ground cumin, okay? And with ground cumin, you probably want about a teaspoon and a quarter, teaspoon and a half of cumin. Now when I start cooking this, I'm going to know if I need to add any more of a particular seasoning because of the way it's going to smell, okay? But we can't really cook this until we end up getting the water from the chicken that we're boiling it in, because that's what we're going to mix with this. So I've got an onion here that has been roughly chopped. We're going to be putting in the equivalent of about maybe 2 to maybe 3 cloves of crushed garlic or diced. And we want to put some regular bell peppers in here. These are frozen bell peppers, already been pre-cut, just simply, it's cheaper and easier. And to this, we're going to add a little bit of oil. So we're going to end up putting our A little bit of olive oil inside there. This goes on the stove, and we're going to saute these, and we're going to get these until where they're just a little translucent. So right now this is on a medium-low heat, and we're just going to end up sauteing these. And we're going to know that they're pretty much done when they start looking a little bit more transparent. Okay, it's probably going to take about 10-15 minutes, something like that. We don't want to do this on high heat because the last thing that we want to do is burn the garlic. So the onions and the peppers and the garlic, they're back there sauteing, they're having a good time, they're getting close to what I'm looking for. The chicken stock / chicken broth sitting here, it's ready for our seasoning. So what we do is we take what we had put there, and we'll mix it inside here. And we're going to end up letting this just kind of do its thing. And we want the water to leave. In other words, we're going to end up letting this reduce. And here in about 5 minutes, I can taste it. And I'll know if I need to add anything to it. Okay? Judging by the smell, we're good to go. All right? And it's probably going to take about 20 minutes for this to reduce into a thicker sauce, which is actually what we want. We want like an enchilada sauce, right? So we want this to reduce and become thick. We don't want this to be like a broth. Right now this would be like a broth, okay? Okay, so I've torn apart the chicken, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mix that up with the onions and the peppers. Kind of spin this stuff around a little bit, let all of these juices and everything kind of just combine and become friendly with one another. So that's decent filling right there. I'm going to take a little bit of the sauce that is still reducing, throwing it in there just to add a little bit more flavor and juice to this so it's not too dry. So in about 5 minutes we'll taste a little bit of the chicken, see if it needs a little bit of salt, see if it needs some pepper or whatever, but I'm pretty sure everything is good with this. And we have the sauce that we had added some salt to. Okay, so what I have done is I went ahead and I mixed a little bit of water with some potato starch. You can use cornstarch, but I had tasted the sauce. It had enough salt, had enough everything, had enough bite. It was just thin. So instead of letting it reduce more, where it become more concentrated, the flavors, I decided just to go ahead and thicken it up with the cornstarch and or potato starch with water. Okay, some people will use flour for this. I'm more of a starch guy. Okay, but this is what we've got as far as our enchilada sauce. Okay, now this might be a little messy, but it's kind of the nature of the beast. If you want to wear some gloves, you can. I won't tell anybody. So we have our sauce right here. Okay. And our sauce, what we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of set this over to the side. Actually, you know, the first one I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Okay. What we do is we take our tortilla and we set it in the sauce. Now this sauce is actually kind of hot right now, so I don't really want to put my fingers in there. But we want to saturate the tortilla in the sauce. Okay. So my first tortilla broke. Let me just kind of set it in here because we can still use that. Let me just make sure that there's nothing else inside here. Okay. Let's go ahead and try this again. Sometimes you have to heat your tortillas up. Okay, but essentially we're just trying to get a dab of the sauce on the tortilla like that. Okay. Then from there, you go ahead and you grab your filling. Roll it up and then set it to the side. I can tell these tortillas are crap. So what I'm going to do to try to prevent these tortillas from breaking on me like they just did is I'm going to put some in the microwave for about 20 or 30 seconds. And then that might make them a little bit more pliable because these are junk. These are junk. Okay, let's see if this ended up making things a little bit better for us. Because that tearing apart the way it did is just ridiculous. It's a problem when you end up buying store-bought tortillas a lot of times. They just ain't got what it takes. to do it right. It's not perfect, but it's better. See if I could just do one side. Right now I'm trying to compensate for the poor quality of the tortillas. So the microwaving did help. It did help. But these tortillas really suck. I'm not gonna lie. These things suck really bad. Because of the nature of these tortillas, it's almost like you have to completely change your game plan. Because the tortillas just do not want to behave the way that you expect them to. Yeah, it's like you got these tortillas suck so bad. These things suck really bad. But anyway, all right. Well, you do your best to try to get them to cooperate. Okay. Put your enchilada sauce on here. Turn your oven on to 350 degrees. Take your favorite kind of cheese. This particular one is Monterey Jack. If you want to use cheddar, you use cheddar. It doesn't make a difference. I have to admit I'm disappointed in these tortillas. They shouldn't tear as easily as they did. They shouldn't rip that way. Especially even after you microwave it or you dip it in some water, like something that's liquid. Shouldn't be like that. But anyway, this is going to go inside a 350 degree oven for about 30 minutes. Okay. It's been in the oven for a while. Not too long. Smells incredible. Okay. But there we go. And everything had already been cooked. So really all we have to do is just kind of heat this stuff up, right? Got some black olives here. And throw on here. Of course, these are ones that I had cut up. If you don't like cut up ones, you don't have to use cut up ones. You can put whole ones if you want to, like that. Got some limes over here. I'm gonna get out of the way. Once again, the tortilla is ruining my life for being crappy. And of course, guys, if you want to, you could put some cilantro or something there on top. Or of course, my favorite is sour cream. You know, my wife likes her sour cream on the side, so I'm just going to be putting a little bit here on the side for her so she doesn't have a conniption fit. But I'm going to add a couple more things just because that's my style. My wife is a big tomato fan. She really likes tomatoes. So what we'll do is we will take a tomato. And there's not a whole lot of cilantro outside right now, but part of me wants to put some type of cabbage right there, but I think that's enough. But there you go, guys. That's that. Chicken enchiladas. If you like this recipe, make sure you check out more of my recipes on this channel, or you can see my website, www.drchillskitchen.com, where you can find all sorts of cool recipes. One recipe you will not find is crappy tortillas like we have here. Those are some of the worst tortillas ever. But that is that, guys. So, until next time, talk to you later.